Time for Twig This Week in Google. We're going to talk about the new Google laptop, the new Google phone, and the big Gawker break-in. It's all coming up next with Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. Cachefly.com. You'll find all the TWiT shows on your Roku box, Android, and BlackBerry phones, and all Yahoo Widget TVs powered by Mediafly. For more information, visit twit.tv/Mediafly. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 73, recorded December 15th, 2010, Mark Zuckerberg Day. This Week in Google is brought to you by Carbonite. Backing up the files on your PC or Mac is safe and easy with Carbonite. For a free trial plus 2 free months with purchase, go to carbonite.com. Offer code TWIG. And by Hover.com. Hover is domain name registration and management that's simple. For 10% off your new domain, go to twig.hover.com. And by the Eco-Magination Challenge from General Electric. GE and its partners are awarding $200 million to ideas that help build the next generation power grid for the 21st century. For more information and to view and comment on ideas, go to ecomagination.com/challenge. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show that covers the Googleverse and the cloud, I might add. Joining us today, Gina Trapani. Hello, Gina, from Lifehacker, of course, many moons ago, now smarterware.org.
Howdy. Good to see you.
And Think Up, Think Tank, Think
Up. Lead development on Think Up, thinkupapp.com.
Thinkupapp.com. Also with us, Jeff Jarvis from the City University of New York, where he teaches people journalistic integrity.
I'm actually home today.
In his library.
Yeah, how's that? Oh, now I'm looking all fuzzy. Jeez.
You look good. Don't worry about it. A little pink, but that you probably.
I have a big light now on my desk.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Oh,
what is
wow.
that? Wow! And an umbrella.
Yeah, I mean, I actually need to get the one you mentioned. Didn't get to the store.
Is that like a regular umbrella or a special?
Yeah, it's a regular umbrella. No, it's a lighting umbrella.
That's good. Well, no, you look very good. We should send a gaffer your way.
Yeah, I need because I want them to explain what the hell gaffer is.
I know. I just love the name. I like saying gaffer.
Can they bring along a best boy?
Yes.
No, that sounds bad.
Hey, gaffer. Also here, Joel Johnson, who is at gizmodo.com.
Hello. How's it going?
Good to have you back. Now he's got a headset. He sounds so good.
I do. I sound amazing.
Hey. And I want to thank who hosted the show last week? Was it you, Jeff? Did you do all the work?
No.
Tom came in.
Yep.
Tom Merritt.
Tom Merritt.
Tom did.
Thank Tom for doing the yeoman duty while I was at Le Web with Marissa. Me and Marissa hanging. She ignores me. I've met her twice now in the last week, and both times it was like she just didn't. I don't think that registered.
Was she like surrounded by groupies, or was it just like passing along the hall?
No. The first time was at a restaurant in Paris where Loic had brought all the speakers, and then the second time was at Google's media party.
Oh.
And both times, nothing really.
I don't think she's exactly, Miss Social.
I don't think she's that sociable.
No, I don't think she is. I think that's just her.
Yeah.
I think she's got a little bit awkward.
She's been civil to me and nice and decent.
She's no, I wouldn't say she was uncivil. She just wasn't particularly.
She doesn't start telling jokes and
no conversation. And yet, I had some great conversations with Google's chief economist Hal Varian.
Yeah.
There's some smart people at Google.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That was a very interesting thing to go to, and Larry was there, and Eric was there, but I had the most fun talking to her replacement Udi, who's doing search now, with Mike Cohen, who is their voice guy, who does all the voice recognition. That was a fascinating conversation. So
I bet that was really good.
Yeah, really interesting. So we're going to get many of those people on the shows in future. I also talked to and I can't remember his name. Shoot, to the guy responsible for this, the Chrome OS, and we had a very good conversation because I tell you, pardon me. His name is on the dock. Wow. Eileen is, oh yeah, Sundar Pichai.
Eileen on the ball, man.
She is so good.
Eileen.
Well, she was standing right next to me. Thank you.
She's awesome.
So Sundar and I had a conversation because I have the CR48. This is the, you know, Google said very specifically, don't review the hardware. This is just a, you know, this is not even a reference platform. It's a thing that we sent you. So I'm not going to review the hardware. There's some interesting stuff. For instance, no caps lock key. They put a search button on there instead. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Can I say that I actually think the hardware is fantastic?
Do you like it?
I think the hardware is so, like, we got one of those into the office in New York this week or last week, I guess it was. And everybody was just fawning over, it's like the anti-MacBook, you know? It's got a lot of the same clean lines, but there's no logos anywhere. There's no stupid Windows stickers.
It's very black helicopter. You know, you feel like you could, there'd be no radar signature.
It's like what a ThinkPad wants to be, but they've kind of gone off message.
It's got a VGA port. I mean, it's generic. I'm sure they had somebody's generic hardware design. It's running Debian, and then on top of Debian, it is exactly what, Gina, what we had talked about. It's just Chrome. Instant on. I like that. You saw how fast that turns on. Boots very quickly. It's a small solid-state drive. I think, was it 16 gigs, Joel? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's very small. You log in with your Google account, which is amazing.
Very Android-like.
Very Android-like. And all you get is a browser. In fact, this is the conversation that I had. I said, Sundar, explain to me, I have Chrome on my, let's say, MacBook Air. And when I can go to the Chrome App Store, I can install the same exact things. It syncs up. If I filled the screen with Chrome on my Air, it'd be identical to this. But then if I want more, I've got it. Why would somebody voluntarily say, well, I don't want more, or I'll never want more. I just want a browser, because that's all this is, really. It's just a browser. And his point was simplicity, security. He says some people don't want complexity. And then I thought maybe if they sold it really cheap.
That's what I'm...
You think it'll be subsidized?
I mean, if you think the hardware platform is going to be pretty stable for what it takes to run Chrome, you know, run Chrome OS, that's not going to change a whole lot over the next years. So, you know, a $50 Chrome OS laptop is not out of the question by any means. Really
then I could understand it, because, I mean, you get what you pay for, right? So you get a little bit less, but you're not paying for it. I think, why not give it away? Comes with, it has 3G and Wi-Fi, and it comes with, and apparently it's, even any commercial version they sell is going to come with $100 a month of 100 megabytes a month of bandwidth free. Is that
so smart to finally go to an upsell and usage? I get that.
What do you mean upsell?
A freemium model. Take the free and get used to it and get addicted, and then you buy more.
Oh, it is an upsell, true, because 100 megabytes ain't going to get you very far.
No, it's not going to get very far at all.
In that sense, it is an upsell.
Well, I wonder whether this is also kind of a proof of concept for browser as world. You know, that even if you don't buy this machine or have this machine, it makes them build everything into the browser, so you don't need anything else.
Right.
And, you know, yeah, if you have the machine, fine. If you don't, same difference.
There's some issues. It's Debian under the hood, and you know, if you look very closely at the font rendering, it's not very attractive.
Do Control-Alt-T, Leo.
That's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that Croche shell. It's a very, very, very simple shell. So you can SSH. So you do have a little bit of a command line there,
but not much. Not much. I mean, there's none of the Linux or Unix applications you'd expect. There's SSH.
Right. So you'd want to just SSH somewhere where you did have a full.
I guess so. Yeah. I'm glad that they have that, actually. I don't know. That may be. Do you think that that's going to be part of the final Chrome OS, or is that just for this?
Well, the final Chrome OS, there was talk of that remote desktop feature, that chromoting feature, right, where you're supposed to be able to get into remote machines. And the way that I envisioned it, the way I think it was described, was that it was going to be like a remote desktop window inside a browser tab. It's not ready yet, so I think that this shell is a kind of another way to give kind of geeks, early adopters, a way to get into a remote server. You know, last show I was saying how I didn't see how a software developer could work on a Chrome OS machine full time. You know, they said hundreds of Googlers were using their CR48 full time, and I said, how is this happening? And a Googler said to me, all of our code compilation and testing and code hosting happens on in the internal cloud, and we access it through through Chrome. So I think that they provided that shell just so that we could, the prototype testers could have the beginnings of that.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. If they're saying we're going to sell this to grandma because she doesn't want complexity, having SSH is not a selling point.
But grandma's never going to hit Control-Alt-T.
Well, if she does, she's going to call my radio show saying, "What happened? It's all of a sudden it's saying Croche. What is that? Croche? What does that mean?"
I don't even think that shortcut shows up on the Control-Alt/
I don't think
virtual
so.
keyboard.
Yeah.
So they kind of hid that there.
But it wouldn't be so hard to accidentally hit those keys and go, "What the hell happened?"
It just happened, right?
It doesn't say, "Oh, you." So I have a feeling this is not final. That will not be in the final. I can't imagine that'll be in the final.
So is this not going to come out until mid next year?
Feature will be.
Yeah. No, we don't know. They say Samsung possibly will be making some sort of device with this. Samsung seems to love Google these days. We'll talk about another.
Samsung, yeah, they still do. They have a heavy OEM business. I think that the most exciting thing about these, though, is that it seems like Google's web apps development has kind of stagnated in some ways. It's been a long time since I've really been wowed on the web app side of things, not on the data side of things. So them eating their own dog food for a while and running up into the problems of well, what do I do if I want a video editor that's web-based? Or what do I do if I want all of this stuff? I think even if the Chrome OS platform isn't super successful, it might push Google to, start really pushing the envelope again on web apps.
There is some skepticism. I'm not the only skeptic. To me, it seems like unless they can make this free or very close to free, there's not much of a market for such a stripped-down device. Since I can get all the functionality in any other computer that runs Chrome, Paul Buchheit, who created Gmail for Google, left to create Friendfeed, sold Friendfeed to Facebook, and just recently left Facebook. Famously tweeted a couple of days ago that. He thought Google would only have one OS, that ultimately this was doomed by the end of the next year.
Well, that's been the question forever: is why is there Chrome OS and why is there Android? And so we're at least seeing Chrome OS now and getting to play with it and having some notion of it. But however tens of millions of Android units are already out there, and now you've got the Galaxy Tab, and it's going to move to tablets and kind of move into this same weird space that Chrome OS is at. So. I don't think it's necessarily going to exist in the way that it exists now as the sole OS of a laptop. But, they could do the same thing. There was a couple of companies, actually, a couple of years ago that were using really light Linux environments as an alternate boot. You could just hit a button and have an instant on in a Windows laptop or whatever. So I could see Chrome being something like that where you have a full-blown laptop, but you don't need to use it for everything. You just need a web browser, and so you boot into Chrome OS as opposed to Windows or OS X or whatever.
And isn't this also just part of Google's master plan to get us all connected all the time, everywhere? And if you're not on and can't afford it, this might argue against the notion of the digital divide. And if you could get this thing down to $50, that
makes sense to me. Or in a school. This is like the OLPC, really.
Right.
Bingo.
And I think Jeff's point earlier that this is proof of concept. This is Google proving to consumers that all you need is the browser. I mean, I sort of agree with Paul. I can see down the road that Chrome will be ported to Android, and we'll get full Chrome on Android with extensions and with web apps, and you'll be able to, pay web. I mean, the Chrome OS introduces the App Store, which is a way for web developers to get paid for their work, right? So this is going to jumpstart the developer community, prove to consumers that all you need is a web browser. Eventually, once Chrome gets, full Chrome gets on Android, I could see maybe them killing Chrome OS and it just being Android. And so, Chrome OS is just Android starting up quickly and running the browser. But Android doesn't have that super fast startup speed yet. And I don't think consumers are convinced that all they need is a browser, or at least not consumers, but I wasn't convinced that of all the stuff that I could do in a web browser. And having the CR448 definitely made me go oh, okay, there's a lot more here than I realized there is. Although I haven't been able to switch full time. I mean, we're on Skype now, right? And I needed a full machine to do that.
You can make video calls though. It has G-Talk and the G-Talk plug-in. It comes with a camera and a microphone.
We have to switch to G-Talk.
We should all just use CR48s from now on. If you don't have
it.
If you don't have a CR48, you can't do the show. By the way, when I first got it, I said, "Oh, that must be the periodic table of the elements number for Chrome." It's not. Chrome is 24. CR48 is an unstable isotope of Chrome.
Right.
Of Chrome.
Chromium isotope.
Chromium isotope. It's unstable. So again, with the geek. These guys.
Can you store things and work offline on the machine?
No, absolutely. It doesn't. Or can you, Gina?
You can. There's a slot for a camera card you can put in. You can plug in a USB drive. You can browse files. So if you go to Flickr, for example, and say upload file, you can browse the hard drive. You can take a screenshot by doing Control. I think it's Control Alt.
There's also screenshot extensions too.
Yeah. But that will save the screenshot to the disk, the hard drive.
But where is it? Because you can't find. How do you find it? You don't have access to it.
If you go to if you go to Gmail and say attach file, it will open up a dialog box which will browse the hard drive, and you can also browse the USB drive and there's a camera.
So it's like the iPad in that sense, where it has a file system but no real user access to it. You requires a program that's knowledgeable about it.
I mean, you have to have a web app that triggers an open file dialog, and it's this really ugly UNIX.
Can you browse in the open file? I mean, can you go up and down?
Yeah, you can go up and down. You can see the different disks. Right. If you have a USB drive plugged in, you'll see it. So it's
can
very
I have my
rudimentary.
email stored on that device? I mean, because on my Android, on my Galaxy tab, I've got my email on here offline.
Right. Is there offline email? I don't even know.
I don't think that Gmail supports offline anymore because they pulled gears, but I'm pretty sure that,
I know
that the plan is to port everything to HTML5.
Yeah, Android will download your mail.
Right. But I think this is going to be all HTML5 offline storage. Right.
So it's not an airplane machine yet.
Well, this is the thing. I think once the web apps mature to the point where they're all using HTML5 offline storage, then sure, you could. I think ideally, once this does actually get released, you'll be able to edit documents and check email and all the apps that use offline storage. Because the apps can either be just a wrapper that points to a hosted version, which is just like basically a glorified bookmarklet, or it can be the app can be bundled. All the JS and JavaScript and HTML markup can be bundled up into one file that you download and that stores that you actually store on the machine itself. So they are kind of like offline web apps.
I found this frustrating to use in a way that I don't find the iPad frustrating to use. And maybe it's because it has a computer form factor. And you just kind of say, well, it's got a keyboard. This should be a computer. If it were a tablet, though, maybe, well, but it is not. There's where you have Android. By the way, one of the things that Sundar said, and I think this is true, is it is much more secure.
Yes,
if people really got skittish about security, that might push them in a direction of something like this. It does a hash on the firmware and on the system files. If they're modified, it fixes them. It doesn't, it's a big deal to change any of the system or firmware stuff. Automatic updates. He sold that as a big point. He said, you don't have to ever think about updates. Everything's sandboxed. Every tab is sandboxed as it is in Chrome, but also the reader and the Flash player are sandboxed. He says eventually everything will be sandboxed in Chrome OS. So it is something written from the ground up to be fundamentally secure.
Yeah, the updates are great. I think I got updates twice, and it was just a little thing that said, "Hey, restart. You've got updates." And the restart process is only a few seconds, and I just kept going. It restored my tabs, and it was like nothing happened. When you think about the pain that is, Windows Update and even OS 10 update, it's like watch a progress bar, reboot, the spinny thing. It was none of that.
Right.
It's cool.
Well, so the argument has been for a long time that a computer should be as easy to operate as a mixer. Right, a toaster or a refrigerator, that we don't think about those things. Does this herald that?
Yeah, I had this really high expectation of it being like turning my TV on really fast boot up, and it isn't quite that, right? It is a few seconds. I think it's maybe about 10. I haven't timed it. I think it's about 10 seconds or maybe 8 to 10 seconds, which there's a little bit of a boot up time.
You mean from a full off? But
from a full off. Totally off.
You don't really turn it off ever, though, right? The whole idea is that.
Right, you sleep it, right? But I have it set up so that I sign in every time you sleep. So you sign in, and then it takes, at least for me, because I've got a lot of wireless networks around me, it takes a couple of seconds for it to connect to the network.
Start counting. Ready? Yep. I'm gonna. This is full shutdown. Ready? In 3, 2, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000. This is good radio. 5 1000. There's the Chrome logo. 6 1000, 7 1000, 8 1000. Of course, I have to get to the login. Can you bypass that login and have it automatically go right in? 10, 11. There it goes. That was pretty quick.
You're right, Gina. That's not.
It's not instant though.
Yeah,
It was
like
about 13
13 or 14
seconds.
seconds.
You know, I hate to say it, and this is what I showed Sundar. I said, look, I got a MacBook Air. It's got Chrome on it. It boots just as fast. It's got full storage. It's got an operating system. It's got, you know, they said, but you're comparing it to, you know, kind of like the creme de la creme of notebooks. Not everybody's going to want or can afford a MacBook Air.
Right, but you still run. You have to run Time Machine. You're running Carbonite. I mean, you've got to worry about backing up your stuff. You got to worry about keeping things updated. You're getting notifications that iTunes has another update. I just got one right before the show, and it's actually blinking at me now. So there's that inconvenience too. I'm not defending the CR48. I think there are problems with it. I wasn't able to use it full time, but I do think that there's an argument for this kind of thing. I think it's really just the netbook, the netbook market. I'd much rather get a netbook,
which by the way is dead. As far as I'm concerned, I think the netbook.
Right.
What do you think, Joel? I mean, you see this? It seemed to me the netbook was a fad. It was the hula hoop of the year 2009.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people did what I did, which was buy a couple and, play around with it, try to find the operating system I liked best for it, and then realize, the keyboards aren't very
They're
good
cheesy.
at the
It's
size.
cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, they're really nice, but everything seems like it's fracturing, right? Like instead of, everybody's like, oh, the iPad's going to be the future of computing. And it's like, well, yeah, for some people it is. And like the CR48 is going to be the future of computing. And
For
that
some
style.
people. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's a
for some people,
fragmented market.
But, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's, back in the day to make a always, perilous car connection, you had a car and you had a truck. And then they had a few different cars, and then they had a few different trucks, and then they had big trucks. And like computing seems like at this point it's just going wider and wider and wider, and where there's a couple million units here, and that's a success for somebody, and there's a couple million units there. But even the fact that we're considering like an iPad and an iPhone to be fundamentally different experiences when they're so close to being almost identical,
right,
is pretty important. But I do think that this pretty much will end up nuking netbooks if you're not paying for any hardware. I mean, like if the hardware and all of that stuff ends up being $99, like these are the kind of things I could see rolling into doing a project somewhere and stopping by the store and buying 10 of them and, handing them out to people. And then when they're done, take them with you or whatever. Like it's the point where computing hardware becomes almost disposable with all of the, problems that entails.
Yeah,
I would worry too about. I think people are going to, the first time that Google goes down for half a day and all of their stuff is inaccessible, it's going to. That day
is going to happen.
That day will happen, right?
It will happen.
Right, but again, I go back to Android. I on my Galaxy tab, I have my email offline.
Not on this.
On my Gmail, right? But I think if they do it on one, they can do it on the other. It's not out of the.
But I don't think this is. I think they could do it, but I think that they choose not to. This is it's got 2 gigs of RAM. It's got a tiny SSD in it.
It's coming though. I mean, just like
basics.
Like Gina said, a lot of that is like this close to being there. The fact that they had gears and pulled it back was really more just let's make sure we do this all on an open standard and an open platform that everybody can use. So within another year or two, I would say that all of those apps are going to be very robust offline.
Well, and to answer the question about 2 OSs, I think it's perfectly reasonable what Eric Schmidt said. This we talked about a couple of weeks ago. For touch, we have Android. For standard kind of more computing with a keyboard, we have Chrome OS. I mean, that's not unreasonable. Microsoft had multiple operating systems for years. It's not unheard of.
Yeah, I don't know. That still felt like Schmidt finally found a way to explain why they had 2 OS projects going at the same time.
What is Yahoo? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but Gina, back to your TV analogy. I want to play with that for a second. This looks more sensible to operate than my cable box and a remote control.
It's a lot better than the Logitech Review, I'll give you that.
Bingo.
It beats Google TV all up and down the
It's a dead simple computer, right? So for people who don't like the complexity of computers or weren't even really aware of how complex full computers are, the CR48 definitely makes you go like, oh yeah, I never touch the function keys. I don't need those. Oh yeah, the caps lock key, stupid anyway. And oh yeah, I just basically boot up my machine and open my browser anyway, and this just does it for me. So I think that this is just about Google showing people like this is living your life in the cloud or working in the cloud all day long is definitely a possibility, and not everybody likes that. Richard Stallman doesn't.
Right. Well, he doesn't like a lot of things.
Well, he doesn't like a lot of things.
Let's take a break. I want to come back. And by the way, I do want to apologize. Early before the show, we talked a little bit about Anonymous and hackers, and I challenged them. And ever since our internet access has been down here at the TWiT cottage, so I just like to apologize and say, you guys rock. Isn't that interesting? Comcast just completely went down.
Really? You're not joking?
Oh, I'm not joking. I mean, we still have internet access because I shouldn't even say who else I have. Do you think they broke Comcast just to attack me? They broke Comcast?
It's possible. They've done stupider things.
I say nothing.
Who's your internet service provider, Jeff?
I'm not saying that.
No, I think I'm gonna ascribe this to just normal system failure.
The normal rock steady Comcast connection actually went down. Yeah.
Exactly. However, if across the screen you see marching Hacksword, you know why. You know why. Okay. This portion of the show, and by the way, we are backing up right now with Carbonite, just in case. Brought to you by Carbonite.com. If you still use a computer and you're not living in the cloud entirely, you could use the cloud to back up, and it really is a good solution. I'm a big fan of Carbonite. When Abby went to college, I put it on her Mac laptop. She doesn't have to know about it. Just whenever she's online, even at an insecure open access spot, the library, the internet cafe, Carbonite's backing up securely using SSL to make sure her data is always available. And if she should lose the laptop, accidentally throw out a paper that she needs, if a hard drive should crash, she can log onto her Carbonite account on any computer, anywhere, at the library, her roommates, even with an iPhone app that's free or a free BlackBerry app, and get her data back. See it, use it, it's there, it's safe. That's why I love Carbonite. Easy to restore, easy to use, automatic backup to the cloud, PC or Mac, and very affordable too. Now, you could try it free for 2 weeks, 15 days, if you use the offer code TWIG, T-W-I-G. Go to Carbonite.com, use the offer code TWIG. And I do encourage you to try it because it does use your broadband, and if you don't have much speed or whatever, you may not find it satisfactory because it does have to use that. But if you like it after you buy it or decide to buy it, use the offer code TWIG and you'll save 2 months off. It's only $55 a year. That's 15 cents a day. You'll save two months on that when you use the offer code TWIG. C-A-R-B-O-N-I-T-E. Carbonite. You got to back it up to get it back. Do it right. I've tried all the others. This is the one. Carbonite.com. Chipotle. So did you... Chipotle. Did you see? I should have saved it for the end. The onion, little onion bit.
That's kind of great.
I thought that was so funny, and that's what made me think of the Chipotle. Let me see if I can find this. They parody the Google free stuff. Did you see it, Jeff?
No.
Onion Google. I'll play it for you guys. The last time I played. They call it whisper ads. The last time I played an onion thing, YouTube's automatic content control pulled it off. No. pulled us off YouTube. So I'll ask YouTube not to do that. Actually, I talked to Baratunde, and he said, "No, that wasn't us. We don't care. We want you to play it." Let me see, and let me see if I can play this for you without triggering anything here in the content protection realm. Is this it? Is it playing? Apologize for the pause. Don't pay any attention to the site that I'm playing this on. Watch again, it says. Oh, well, never mind. I'll play it for you later. Huh? It's in the dock. Of course it's in the dock. Everything's in the dock. Hello? I got something else from Google, by the way, while I was here. It is. I found it. I got it. Thank you. I got a little gift from the Googlers when I was visiting the holiday thing. A guy from Android division came over. Randall said, "Hey, we sent you an email. You never responded. Do you actually want to review this new Google phone?" I said, "Well, let me take a look at it." This is the Galaxy S, essentially for Google with the branded. Oh, I know what's wrong. Comcast is down. I know what's wrong. I can't do anything. I'm stuck.
Thanks, Anonymous.
Thanks, Anonymous. You know, have I said how much I love 4chan lately? They're just really a great bunch of people. So, have any of you got the Galaxy S? Joel, you must have it. You have it around the office.
We've got Buchanan, who is our major Matt Buchanan, who is our major phone testing guy, has it right now and is actually writing his review up. But I didn't get to play with it. It came in Friday, right when I was leaving.
Well, and I should say that Gina and I are big Nexus One. You still use your Nexus One, Gina?
Yep, Nexus One's still my primary phone.
I still consider it the best phone ever, and I've been using a Droid X because I wanted Verizon, but. And I like the bigger screen, but I have to say, once you get back to that vanilla Google experience, it really, all the carriers, Motorola, Blur, even HTC, which I think the Sense UI is pretty nice, it's still not as good as just that pure Google deliciousness.
Does the curve in the screen actually make any sort of difference to you? Can you feel that at all?
No. And, I don't know, is it in the screen or in the bezel? You can see a very slight curve. I mean, it is very, very slight. And it may be, the theory might be that is to reduce reflections. I don't know. I can hardly notice it. But this is Gingerbread 2.3.
T-Mobile?
This is T-Mobile. T-Mobile's fine where I am. I don't know why I'm so set on having Verizon. But it just reminds you how good I think the pure Android experience is,
And what in Gingerbread is making you?
There's a couple of things about this. First of all, it's much snappier. I think it's the same processor as the other Galaxy S, but Gingerbread apparently uses more GPU acceleration, and you really do notice the difference. It is much, much snappier. It really feels like a faster phone and a more responsive phone. I love the Samsung OLED screens. They really do a nice job on that. There's some more subtle differences. For instance, let me start a new text message. The keyboard has changed slightly. I use swipe, and then in fact, it was going to be my pick today, Swift key, which I really like. But this has some Swift key-like features. If you start typing, it gives you suggestions here, which you can click, is the new keyboard. So I think they've done a nice job. I think the keyboard is very good. Subtle, but good. There's some interesting choices. For instance, they've put Manage Apps right on the main menu here. So then
that's useful.
After years of saying you don't need a task killer.
Right, they put it kind of front and center.
They put it in the main menu. And I have to say, one of the things, and I'm sure there's much more, every time I use it, I discover more stuff. But one of the things I really like is the new battery display. Let me get the where is it? Where do they put that power? No, I've lost it.
It really does seem like the OS has come into its own in Gingerbread, though. Like visually and the way it all kind of hangs together. Like it doesn't feel like it's necessarily just cloning.
Oh, it's beautiful. It isn't. It really is its own thing. This is the we who have to survive with these phones for more than 5 or 6 hours a day spend a lot of time in this battery section. Look, they have a graph now. It says 4 hours 53 minutes on battery, and if I tap the graph, it shows me this is battery usage. It shows me phone signal. It's so GPS Google on, geeky. Wi-Fi. It's so geeky.
Nerds.
Awake, screen on. So these little bars are when the screen. So you can really see what's using it. I know. I guess most people wouldn't want that, but I like it.
No, it's nice for when mom says, "Why does my phone die after 2 hours?"
Well, this was a lot of it because you saw right here, display used 21%, but now you really can get granular on this and see a graph of battery usage. That is nerdy, isn't it? It's a very though. On the other hand, it's a very polished phone. I mean, literally and figuratively. It's piano black. It just feels good in your hand. It's just a
good
nice
feel, good hand feel. Yeah.
Is it plasticky?
Yes.
It is.
You know, it's funny because Samsung, it's just like the Galaxy S. It's just like the Focus, which is the Windows phone. It's got a little hump here. All the phones now seem to have these little humps at the bottom for antenna, I guess. Good camera. By the way, first time I've had a really decent camera. An iPhone 5, almost as good camera on an Android device.
One or two cameras?
Front-facing, 2 cameras. You know, no software, as far as, even Fring doesn't use that front camera yet, but it's there. Good video, not 720p, by the way, 480p. And I asked Randall about that. I said, you know, it's a phone, and people are complaining you can't shoot high-def video. Come on. And 480p is very good. The quality is very good. The camera is very good. It's surprisingly good.
Did they hand these out to other media people?
No, they did not hand it out at the media event, but I understand Googlers are going to get them, and it will be available at Best Buy on Thursday. Best Buy says 2 units only. They'll start selling it when the store is open at 8 a.m. online, 8 a.m. Eastern time. And what was the price?
Do they ship the unlock, or are they only on T-Mobile? This is for everybody.
There's apparently both. This is an unlocked, which is I'm thrilled. You know, they want this one back, but I will buy it. Probably spend more money to get it unlocked.
It's $5.29 for unlocked, right?
Yeah, it's unsubsidized, so it's expensive. Really, way too much.
Does it have the AT&T frequencies too?
I don't think so. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I think this is. I think once again, if you want the best Android experience, it's a Google phone. Oddly enough.
So if you had a Droid, would you upgrade? Would you upgrade the first Droid?
Yeah. Oh yeah. In fact, I'm not. I'm going to use this instead of the Droid X. I'm going to buy one and put my T-Mobile SIM in it because it's just really nice. I wish I wish it had this in France. It's really nice, very speedy. I put, I can bog that Droid X down pretty good, and I guess that's gingerbread because I don't think the processor's that different. But a couple of negatives. One is you can't. There's no SD card slot, so but it does come with 16 gigs, which is I was able to put a decent amount of music on there. Seems to have. I think it has a gig of storage for the apps. That must be wrong, but it seems like there's tons of room for app storage. If I go to manage apps, I just got a ton of space.
That's good.
248 megs used, 724 free. Doesn't that sound like there's a meg of RAM in that? A meg of app space? In addition, that's the internal storage, in addition to the 16 gigs of SD card. That's a lot.
It's $529 without a plan, $199 with a 2-year.
Okay.
At Best Buy.
Okay.
It certainly looks like those screens you're navigating between those screens very quickly. They seem snappy.
Very snappy.
Just watching you just tap around.
And I'm running a fairly, I always like these stupid live wallpapers. This is a live, like the clouds.
I like those too, and they are really stupid.
Widgets and wallpapers.
Yeah, yeah. I put this one on. This is how I test how snappy a phone is. This wallpaper just kills the Droid X. It's a fish tank, and the fish are swimming around in the background. I mean, there's a lot going on in this thing. Doesn't phase it. I mean, it's just as snappy. The other thing I found is having multiple screens, like 7 screens, really slows down the Droid X. Having this only has 5 screens in the Gingerbread. Having a lot of widgets seems to make a difference, in terms of performance. But nothing that I've done so far has bogged this thing down.
See, that's still my favorite thing about like Android phones in general is just the way that the front page and all that information is put up there. If I could have that plus all of the iPhone apps and the whole, iPhone experience, that would be the perfect phone.
Well, we're
for
getting
me.
close, aren't we? I mean, Angry Birds is on there. Fruit Ninja is on there. A number of companies have announced they're going to do Android versions. The only one that seems to be a real holdout is Netflix, who says, well, we're worried about, piracy.
Yeah, there's still the limit of, I think, didn't they just bump it up for Gingerbread? I think they went from 25 meg to 50 meg on how big an app can be.
Okay.
And a lot of the really hot iPhone apps, especially the games, are like, many hundreds
Infinity
of megs.
Blade is almost a gig. It's 700 megs.
which is great. Like, oh, that game is so good.
It's so awesome. I know.
So you play these games and you're like, you know, that's a lot of it for me on the iPhone. And I love the iPhone. I love the 4 hardware and the experience and, you know, whatever. It's all great. But I could probably move to Android. But I feel like with my iPhone, I have a games platform that's fairly credible and my tool. And then, you know, if I go to Android, it's really just the tools. But yeah, they'll get there. It's
Word with Friends. They've announced Words with Friends is going to be on here. That was a big missing gap.
Bought by Zynga now too, right?
Now with Zynga, yeah.
It's going to get even more insidious.
Yeah.
Can I ask all you geniuses 2 tip questions?
Yes. Wait a minute. Let me turn down my Fruit Ninja.
Fruit Ninja's a new one on me.
You haven't played Fruit Ninja? Oh, you're going to love Fruit Ninja. You slice fruit up as it, you know, and it's it's multi-touch.
Nice.
Yeah, it's for people who like Chipotle.
Or fruit, you know.
Or fruit. Oh.
And they said
would be,
technology
avocado
wouldn't
ninja.
solve the world's problems.
Oh, don't hit the bomb, though.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah. Oh,
So go ahead, Jeff. What's your question?
Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
I'm mesmerized too. 2 things. One, my Galaxy Tab. I found this is a problem that's not uncommon. Unfortunately, it suddenly stops recognizing FiOS routers, and it won't get an IP
That's not
from
good.
the.
You mean Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it won't get. And then there's a lot of them, and it's across carriers, across Galaxy Tab carriers.
Verizon, by the way, is notorious for using a really crappy box for its routers.
Is that what it is?
Well, I mean,
any tip for me? Anything I should try? Jake's coming home Saturday, so I'll have him do it.
that seems weird. I mean, Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Right, that's the thing, right? Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi.
I'd blame Verizon.
Well, it's their fault, yeah. But you know, how you're never going to get anywhere trying to convince them of that.
If you, I mean, does it not fix it if you turn off your router and turn it back on?
No. People are saying, well, it fixes it if you rebuild the Galaxy Tab, but you know, you don't want to do that every 3 weeks. If it just suddenly stops recognizing anymore.
That's weird.
You should get an iPad.
Right.
Would that fix it?
Hey,
It
I
fixes
got
everything.
both.
He already sent his iPad back.
I just made $100 from Steve Jobs. That was awesome.
I'm iOS.
Are you on that program? Because I am too. The Steve Jobs $100 if you mention me program.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
great.
it's great.
It's a real subsidy for those of us working in the trade press.
I'm on the academic equivalent, which is the I pledge to quote Clay Shirky once a day.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Does Clay give you the money or does Steve?
No, there's no money. It's considered just a good to the world.
It's just a good. By the way, literal net, it's a joke. So my Galaxy, when I go to mygalaxytab.net, you're right. This is apparently a very common problem.
Yeah,
With
weird.
Verizon FiOS and the Galaxy Tab. It won't DHCP to the tab. That's very interesting.
So here's my other quick question. On my Android phone, when I go to all the applications, they're in alphabetical order. On my Galaxy Tab, they're not, and I can't figure out how to put them in
That's
automatic.
a carrier. That's really annoying. It's a carrier issue.
That's the carrier?
Yeah.
What? Really?
Yeah, because well, I have the same problem on the Motorola, and then I went to the I opened my apps on my Nexus S, and I was shocked. Angry Birds was up at the front, which had never been before. It's in alphabetical order.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah, that's a carrier, or maybe not carrier, maybe hardware manufacturer, but it's probably hardware. It's probably that's probably the Samsung thing. This is why
alphabetical order on the Nexus One.
Yeah, because it's a Google experience.
Right, and I just assumed it was the same everywhere. That's crazy.
This is the only thing that drives me really crazy is that these buttons are in different orders on almost every device. You know,
Yeah.
I wish they would the bottom buttons. You know, so I have to relearn. First, back, menu, search, home. I mean, that's perfectly logical. It's just different from the way Motorola does it. These are soft buttons, by the way. And I know some people like physical buttons. I kind of like the soft buttons. I think this is boy. You're going to love this, Gina.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
It's great.
Jeff, to go back to your router question, can you change the channel or change the encryption and see if maybe
I just saw that here. That I don't know. I'm going to find that out. Somebody said to change the channel to 11.
Yeah, to something different than what it is. Maybe you're getting some interference. But that's not a that's not a FiOS router specific thing. That's something I would do with any router.
Right.
I was having trouble connecting.
This
to.
seems to be a direct interaction between Fios and the Galaxy Tab as I look through
My
these.
tab is fine everywhere else.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. So I'm not watching movies on it at home because I don't want to go through my bandwidth.
Yeah. So you're a big fan of the Tab.
I'm loving it, and because I had to write a column on it today, and it is the perfect form factor for typing.
You're
right?
kidding. It's not too small to type?
No, it's incredibly right for typing, thumb typing.
Very
That's
interesting.
The beauty of it.
Wait, you typed a column on it?
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
You wrote on the tab?
Without wanting to kill anyone.
That's amazing. That's saying,
that is amazing.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
That's the key to it. So you can really, I can't show you my thumbs, but it really becomes.
Yeah, then that's something you can't do on the iPad. You have to type like a typewriter on the iPad.
It's.
So are you using Google Docs, Jeff, or?
Using Think. No, I'm using.
Think Office.
Came with Think Office and the God Bless Dropbox.
Yeah.
Yes. Indeed.
So the combination works just beautifully. So I had the start of this column I had to write, and then I just went on the train today when I'm on ground, and I'm going along. I get back and I switch to my other machine, and I have you start to have a sense of what life is like on Chrome.
Yep. Dropbox is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful.
That's incredible. I would never write a blog post or an article on I don't imagine ever doing that.
Sounds like pain. That's why I really like the MacBook Air, because it's a keyboard. And I tried even with Chrome to do that for a while, and it's just that the mouse isn't quite as...
You see, you, Californian, don't do populous things like I have to do, which is stand on the subway.
Yes, you're right.
And standing on the subway, I'm writing the column.
No, you're right. I sit in my easy chair.
You're in your chauffeur-driven limousine
limo.
going to Chipotle.
Yeah. To Chipotle. That was good. Was that on the show, or that was
off the show? So
that was before the show. We should explain.
This Week in Burrito now.
I have never been to Chipotle. No longer owned by McDonald's. There's the good news. And both Gina and Jeff are major Chipotle fans. So Eileen, I think, was coerced by these guys to stop at the Chipotle because she lives near one and bring me some. And I confess, not only was the bowl good, but there's something magical about these chips.
It's a little embarrassing living so close to Mexico and saying how good Chipotle is.
You live in San
really
Diego and you're eating at somewhere that used to be owned by McDonald's. Come on.
I know. It's a little embarrassing. Okay.
The chips
That's making me hungry.
The chips have there's some sort of, like they've been sprayed with a lime coating or something.
Oh, gosh, that sounds great.
Well, Leo, you now have to go and experience Chipotle, because as you stand, most of the design is you stand online, you see them grilling the meat and cutting up the meat, and you say, "Oh no, a little more meat, medium sauce, please. Oh, can I have some more black beans?" And they put it on in the whole thing down the line, and so it's truly your burrito at the end. No one else's. It's like the Google of burritos because it's personalized.
I'm baffled by the whole thing, but there is it was very good. I mean, we have Mexican restaurants run by actual Mexicans all over the place in Petaluma, and as do you in San Diego.
Yes. We obviously need new Glee episodes to talk about. It's bad. Glee's on break till February, so we're in trouble.
Did you like the because Eileen really didn't enjoy the sectionals episode. I thought it was good. She was sad because the main singers didn't get to sing.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I like that they're giving the rest of the cast a little more airtime. I thought you were going to ask me about the Christmas episode, which a lot of people were weird about.
I haven't seen that
I'm
yet.
a big Grinch fan, so I was kind of tickled by it. I thought it was okay, the sectionals episode that they gave.
Okay, now we've had our Chipotle Glee break.
Sorry, everyone.
Person of the Year, Time Magazine. They had that vote online. The premier of Turkey was the winner online, but everybody knew who the Person of the Year really was going to be. And in fact, if you look at the cover of Time Magazine, it is the Zuck.
And it's a scary stare, isn't it?
He has green eyes? I didn't never realize. That was my first reaction. Like, did they Photoshop
Only
that?
since the movie.
Ah.
It is. They're doing something, aren't they, with the? Oh, I have to change the camera. They're doing something with. It's like a HDR picture or something. There's something creepy about it.
Yeah, I just think it's really well lit.
You are hypnotized.
Well, yeah, it's very clear. It's very clear what Time's saying with this, that it's Big Brother, right? He's watching you. When you move, by the way, his eyes follow you. Try that. He's always looking at you. There's definitely something there. Don't you think?
I don't know.
A little editorial. Oh, come on. That's Big Brother, baby. He doesn't blink.
I just want to know if, like, is it, I can't decide, like, everybody, at least on, like, Reddit and places like that today were like, I can't believe it wasn't Assange. No. And I'm like, I can't believe that it's would be Zuckerberg or Assange.
Who should it be?
Both of them seem kind of weird. But am I wrong? Should it have been Assange?
No. I don't know.
I think both are changing the world. But, here's the thing about it. It's all BS.
Yeah. It's just a set of
magazines. It's a committee at time. I tweeted today that when I was at People magazine, yes, I confess it, and it came time to pick the sexiest man alive, it's the same exact process to pick the Time Man of the Year.
Right. You call and see if I'm available. And
then... it's quite mean. Here's my little conspiracy moment. There was and this is pure speculation. Let me be clear here. I have no idea of this. But there was Obama had a meeting with a whole bunch of executives today, and Zuckerberg couldn't go because of a prior obligation. Is this it?
What could Zuckerberg's... What?
Yeah, what obligation do you not cancel for a meeting with the president?
I don't know.
That's a huge insult. Oh, I can't do it. I've got a dentist appointment?
Well... When I had dinner with at a retreat for Murdoch, and Zuckerberg was across the table sitting right next to Murdoch, and they were doing a major Vulcan mind meld together. And then Zuck had to go take his girlfriend to a movie.
Wow.
He left. It's just the way he is. He has his own priorities. God bless him. The reason I always, on the one hand, I'm happy for him that he's gotten media savvy and his charm is coming out now. But I used to love him being on panels at events where he would just say exactly what he thought in 3 words and stare at you. And unlike everyone else on every panel who's packaged and tries to present, he was just him.
Yeah,
I hope he doesn't lose that.
I loved it when he said, "Oh, the iPad, that's not mobile." I just loved that.
Yeah.
There's something satisfying about that.
Yeah, most of these executives are so mealy-mouthed and careful that you never... Oh, that's here's another picture of Zuck with a bunch of...
Oh, you got to look at the family. Look at the Zuckerberg through the years. I hate to be cruel here. He's a cute kid, but he's an ugly baby.
He wasn't going to make Baby of the Year.
Is he what we call an FLK, a funny-looking kid?
Yeah. You got to go see that.
Mark Zuckerberg, FLK. Where is that? I'm looking for... is that online? Who else would you make? I mean, I guess you could make a politician. I'm kind of glad that it's not a politician. I think you could very well, you make a very strong case that no one has changed our world more than Mark Zuckerberg.
I think that's true. I think Assange will have a lasting impact, and you can never be as secretive again, and that's going to be really important. But I think Zuckerberg's impact is bigger. Though there's some who are arguing that he already won with us 2 years ago.
Right.
If you go to the main page.
Here it is. This is the slideshow. That's the picture they didn't use.
There's one that says photos Zuckerberg the early years. This is not it.
This is what he was doing instead of talking to Obama. He was posing for these pictures. Well, that's posed.
Yeah.
So this is at the Antonio's Nut House in Palo Alto with Vice President for Growth Mobile and International, Chamath Palihapitiya, Mark Zuckerberg, Mike Schroepfer, Vice President of Engineering, Jonathan Helfiger, VP Technical Operations, Chris Cox, VP Product. They're all playing pool. Ooh, what is that? Sheryl Sandberg, their CEO or COO, and Brett. Oh, that's Brett Taylor. Yeah, that's a nice picture of Brett.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I like Brett. There they are playing paintball. Yeah. I think you can make a pretty strong case that this guy deserves to be Person of the Year.
Yeah. If you go back to the Time homepage, Leo, you'll see Zuckerberg the early years, and that's what's funny.
Oh, I got to find that. All right.
And there's a sweet picture of him with Randy, his sister.
Oh, a little kid. Zuckerberg the early years.
She's a sweetheart.
Is it?
You see it there? Time.com, underneath the big box, third line down, photos, Zuckerberg, the early years.
Time.com, underneath the big box.
It's not hard to believe that you worked at People, Jeff.
Hold up.
Yeah, I see it.
No, seriously, it's the baby ones. Those are going to hit.
That's it. That's what we should put on the... Oh, there's Mark.
See what I mean?
Born in 1984. Funny-looking kid.
Yeah, he is.
Definitely an FLK. Dobbs Ferry, New York, the son of a dentist and a psychiatrist.
The next one, he's a cute kid. That's cute.
Oh.
That is pretty cute.
That's, by the way, the last time Mark Zuckerberg wore a necktie. There he is at Harvard. Looks like a Harvard kid. He looks just like Jesse Eisenberg, actually.
Well, he says they got the shirts right.
Yeah, that's right. That's the one thing they got right. Oh, there he is with Randy. That's cute. You're right. That's really
He's a sweetie.
Yeah. You know, I completely changed my tune on Zuck.
I know you have. You really have.
I used to think he was the arch, enemy, the devil incarnate. And now he just seems like a smart kid who kind of has I think of some really significant insight into humans and how we think about each other and so forth.
Good eye for product on the web, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Great sense of what builds a great product people want.
We had a debate on TWiT on Sunday about who was smarter, Bill Gates or Zuckerberg, and I said, I think Bill's a better businessman. It's clear Mark is not a great businessman. But I don't think anybody has the insight into people that Mark Zuckerberg.
But here's the key difference, I think, and this is kind of will end up being a joke about the movie, but Gates never invented anything. He executed brilliantly on inventions of others.
Exactly.
Zuckerberg, all movie jokes aside, invented this.
Exactly. It was his creation.
So you put executives into two buckets, the Gates bucket or the Jobs bucket.
Right.
I would put Zuckerberg in the Jobs bucket.
Actually, I think Gates and Jobs have more in common. Zuck's more like Woz. I think Jobs was a productizer, a businessman.
Wait, we think that Zuck invented social networking?
No. But I think that he has a vision for the product. You just said it, Gina.
Right. He definitely has vision for the product. Right. But he looked at MySpace and he looked at Friendster and said, I'm going to take the worst things about these two things and do them much better. Right.
Yeah, but he created the wall. He created photo tagging. I mean, there's some your relationship status. He created some things that are sticky as hell. He figured out sticky.
Gina.
He did. I'm not. Okay.
He figured out.
I think that these parts of these ideas were in a lot of different places. He brought them together to one unified product, which I give him total credit for. I don't think that he invented a lot of this stuff. I mean,
well, Jobs didn't invent the mouse either.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
I don't think that Jobs invents stuff. Jobs looks at what's out there and goes that last extra mile and says, I'm going to make this amazing.
Yeah.
And that's Zuck does that for sure.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's similar.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right.
The wrong way.
All right. Yeah. I'll give you that.
And it's a small difference.
All right. Gawker had a big password breach, and I know you guys are going to have something to say about it. So let's take a break and come back. Gina Trapani is here, as is Joel Johnson from Gizmodo, Jeff Jarvis. We're talking Google and the cloud. Right now, I'd like to tell you to register your domains at hover.com. If you go to twig.hover.com, you'll get 10% off your next registration. Hover is domain name registration made simple, without all the frills, the bells, the whistles, the upsells that the other guys do. You get automatic, for instance, automatic Whois privacy. It's part of the price. There's no additional sell. They don't do hosting, so they're not going to say, "Oh, get the hosting package." It's very simple. Domain name forwarding, email forwarding. You could set up email addresses. You create URL extensions. You've got privacy controls. It's all simple. It's all clean. It's kind of the Google of domain name registration. Clean interface. It gets the job done, and that's why I use Hover and registered. I moved everything over to Hover. All my new domain names registered at Hover, and I couldn't be happier. Twig.hover.com for 10% off. And by the way, you're going to love their no-hold policy. If you've ever called these other guys, it's like they make more money if they put you on hold. The longer you're on hold, it's almost, I think they're playing a game with you, these other guys. How long before they hang up? How long can we put them on hold before they give up? Not with Hover. If once during business hours, when you call, you get a live person, and that's it, no hold. They're going to handle your problem, or explain what to do, or so forth. domain transfers are free. They'll charge you $10 to extend the domain. You'll get 1 more year automatically when you transfer over. That's what I did. Actually, I took advantage of it. Got 4 years on each one. Try it right now, will you? twig.hover.com. All right, so we were talking about this off the air, I think, but let's talk about it on the air now. Gawker got hacked. Lifehacker is a Gawker property, but did you leave, Gina, before Gawker was involved, or?
Lifehacker was always a Gawker property.
It was always a Gawker. So you've worked for Nick. I worked for Nick for 5 years. I own stock of the company now. Sometimes
Good disclaimer. Sometimes they syndicate articles from my site. I should. What's that?
You do.
Yeah, a lot of employees and former employees do now.
I like that.
I should have been nicer than Nick.
And Joel Johnson writes for Gizmodo, which is, of course, a Gawker property, as is Gawker itself, Valleywag, Fleshbot.
Yes.
I know you guys don't talk about Fleshbot as much.
They're a separate advertising package.
Yeah, it depends on if it's ad sales talking about Fleshbot or if it's the editorial talking about Fleshbot.
But somebody hacked the entire database. Now, this is what I didn't know. I thought it was just your routine run-of-the-mill hack. But it was actually targeted. It was like, let's get Nick, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they said. That's certainly what it looks like. There had been, and I for what it's worth, I mean, I pretty much know what everybody else knows at this point. But they had said that they were going after Gawker.com and Nick Denton in particular, it sounded like, for their arrogance. That was the term, at least, that stuck with me. So, yeah, they made a concerted effort to actually penetrate and apparently had access to things for a while before they released it.
Wow. Now, it's one thing to go after Gawker, but it's another thing to release that information. Although, what did people really get? There's not credit card numbers in there. It's just passwords. Most of them crappy, apparently.
Email addresses, usernames, and passwords.
Okay.
Username and passwords, which is, if they were, it's a sticky situation, right? Like, because my instinct is to say, well, you shouldn't use those things on other accounts that matter. Like, don't use the thing that you would sign up for Gawker with your bank. But at the same time, Gawker, we were the ones that lost the passwords and lost the emails, and so we're certainly not criticizing anybody if they made that mistake. So I know that World of Warcraft apparently had some problems. Twitter had some problems. LinkedIn sent around some emails.
LinkedIn sent out a great message where they just made you change it.
Right.
Obviously, they grokked the leak, and if you were a Gawker user, they sent you out something. Yeah, it's very smart. I appreciated that from LinkedIn.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so they proactively reset passwords for any email address that showed up in the Gawker data leak, which I think makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's kind of, a lot of these were kind of like throwaway accounts. Oh, it's just some blog I'm going to comment on. It's not like financial information. But you also kind of might feel the same way about Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. Oh, it's just a social network, whatever. I'll just use my weakest password. So it kind of makes sense that a lot of people used a similar password on Gawker and Twitter and LinkedIn. And I think it's great that I thought it was great that those companies proactively sent out emails resetting those people's passwords to avoid any problems.
And also there was a little bit of a kind of complaint going around that we hadn't sent out an email to our however million plus users, and basically that was happening while all these other emails were going out. They were figuring out the best way to send out those emails and the process for all of that. But to defend our tech team, just at least on a human level, like, they were dealing with all of the nightmare of the hack while at the same time trying to figure out the logistics and the etiquette of emailing 1.5 million users all at once. So it took them longer. But the flip side is we definitely got caught with our pants down, and the political aspect of it aside, like the idea that our users should be punished because a handful of people don't like our attitude aside, it was a real bummer that we dropped the ball on that one, for sure.
What do you all think about? Go ahead.
Sorry,
Gina.
I was going to say, like, it was a horrible week. Like, it was, I mean, for me, it was really kind of outside of the company at this point. It was just like watching, this terrible freeway wreck sort of unfold. It's in like slow motion. It was really bad. And what's hard for me, because most of the tech team are my friends. Tom Plunkett's a CTO, a friend of mine. I introduced him to Nick. He knows better. Like, this wasn't like a lack of technical ability on the part of our engineers, because most of the articles written about this, especially in the tech press, are about how bad the encryption was and how terrible and weak the MySQL database password was. But the reality is, in the startup world, especially tech startup world, especially in Denton's startup world, like, putting time and resources toward infrastructure is not as high a priority. It's about shipping new stuff. And I think this was just mortifying and embarrassing for the tech team and for editorial, especially the editorial of the tech sites at Lifehacker and Gizmodo. And it was a hard lesson learned. I got
to point out that this happens all the time. At the same time that this happened, people who Walmart sent out emails to many of its customers. Their accounts had been breached with much more serious data in there. I mean, this happens all the time.
It does, but it's still
it's
really
embarrassing.
Stinks. And it's embarrassing. And it makes people think, it's hard to be, people have short memories, but it's also still just rough when it's happened. And they said that there are going to be future releases, so we don't even know what else that they have that they haven't released yet.
Anybody's going to hold this against Gawker. I really do.
Yeah, I don't. As far as what they're talking about future releases, I don't. I mean, I can't imagine what they would have that would be. I mean, I should knock on wood, but like, I can't imagine that it's going to be worse. I think there's like a lot of the stuff that they were pulling out of Campfire, for instance. That they were throwing in our face, like, see the arrogance of these people, and like that's just people joking in IRC and Campfire, and like it's just people talking. So, we'll see what happens, but like. I definitely have to underline what Gina said is like at Gawker to step out of it as an employee role and more of just like me and my experience with Gawker over the years. Like the tech team has always kind of gotten short shrift financially, and they've always had to really make magic happen with just a little bit of far less resources than they probably should have. So they've they're not dumb. They weren't careless. Everybody made mistakes. There were mistakes made on a security standpoint, company wide. Like we were never as strident about changing passwords and all of that stuff now, or all of that stuff as we are now. But yeah, that tech team always worked really hard, and it's totally the last week have been beat up.
Moving on, I want to talk about some Google acquisitions, Google hires. Google was very busy. We haven't talked about Google Books yet. Did you talk about that last week?
We did.
Okay, so we don't have to mention that. What did you say about it? Good thing.
We talked about how it was kind of a good thing. I talked about we talked about the Android app, and Jeff's book is on Google Books. Mine is not. Yeah, which is kind of neat.
The problem is you can't mark text, which just drives me nutty.
Which you can in the Kindle.
Yeah, it's not quite as fully baked as the Kindle.
Yeah, but the Kindle wasn't fully baked when it came out either.
Right.
It's first generation, although you think they might have learned from what other stuff does. I just downloaded it. I haven't bought anything yet. I mean, I'm always going to buy stuff through the Kindle store because I have.
It works well. Everywhere. It reads nicely on my Galaxy tab. I'm liking it.
All right.
That's the thing. Yeah, I'm kind of invested in Kindle. And when I think I want to buy books online, I think Amazon. I don't think Google.
Yeah. Speaking of book readers, the Nook, which is an Android-based device, but a kind of a hobbled Android-based device, but a lot of people are reviewing it very positively. It's color, the new Nook. It's backlit, running Android, and now the latest rumor is that Barnes & Noble is going to put Froyo on it in the next couple of months, and it will be an actual tablet.
Yeah, that was a pretty amazing backdoor attack on getting into the Android tablet market.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's still going to be a little weak hardware-wise.
It's not very fast. What is the processor in that?
I don't remember.
It's not nearly as snappy as the Samsung, for instance.
Right, but it's. A lot of this product.
By the way, Barnes & Noble is denying that, but I don't know if that means anything.
Yeah, a lot of this product stuff is just approach, right? Like if you sell something as an ebook reader and then say, "Oh, but it'll also be a tablet if you want to use that later on," people are going to be far less critical than saying this is a new tablet. So,
well, it's $249. It's cheap. It's a lot cheaper than the Samsung.
Darn straight, yeah. $599.
Can you get the Kindle app on it?
No.
I want
well,
the Kindle
that's
app on
interesting.
it.
If you had the Android Marketplace, I guess you could. That might be the single biggest reason why Barnes & Noble will not do this.
Right.
Because it kind of undermines their store.
Well, I want choices. Hey, I bought Kindle books, and I want to get, I would like to get them on my e-reader or tablet.
Yeah.
The other thing we didn't talk about last week that I don't understand is how Google Books evidently will work with the small bookstore now, and which makes some sense. A bookstore should become a showroom, and you then just order the book otherwise. So
That's
if you really
good
have to have
for
it
them.
then, fine, pay a premium.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's just a web-based partnership. So, like, if you go to a Powell's, website, it'll say, "Hey, buy ebooks online powered by Google Books." I think that's how it works.
Well, that's awesome. And then Powell's still gets the business and the traffic and the
maybe they get a cut
and some revenue. Well, I'm sure they would. And
so which is really smart positioning against Amazon. Amazon's killed all these bookstores.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll
tell you what. If that's the case, I would absolutely move to the Google Books platform, just to keep those local bookstores around. Mm-hmm. I think that's actually a very compelling argument in favor of that.
Well, then the idea, I think, again, is I think bookstores should change the model. They've got to figure out how to change the model so that it's not about holding inventory, even though the inventory risk is the publishers, not the bookstores, but there's still a cost issue there. And if it became more of a reading room, showroom, hey, you want to read this when you leave? And in a sense, Barnes & Noble's headed there, since you can, as I understand, you can read any book, electronic book, while you're in the store.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want to leaf through or look at things like that and get a sense of it and read, just flip pages and all that, fine. Hold on to 2 copies of every book. And then, but have a far larger selection of books, so your inventory risk. And if you really want to have it, fine, you can buy this one, but you're going to pay full retail.
Well, and independent bookstores do so many other things, including speakers, and I mean, it's really an important part of the community. I would love to keep them around. And that's great.
But when's the last time you went to a local bookstore?
It's been a while. We have one down the street, but my wife goes and my kids go.
Yeah, the worst question for me, Joel, before I started writing the latest book and doing research is, when's the last time I read a book?
I read books all the time.
I live in Portland now, and so the big Powell's is obviously here. But the last time, like the last 3 times I think that I've been to Powell's been when I've been taking books to sell back to Powell's and then just walking out with cash and not buying any more books. So I'm part of the problem, apparently.
Hey, one thing I'm really unhappy about, the change to the refund policy in the Google Marketplace. They're improving the Google Marketplace. The new Marketplace should be rolling out now. Lots of nice features, except instead of 24 hours to return a program, now you have 15 minutes.
Whoa.
Not so good. This was, to me, one of the chief selling points of Android over the iPhone is you could try any application in the Marketplace, and if you didn't like it, return it and get your money back.
You can do that on iPhone.
How's that?
I feel like I'm probably tipping a hat that I shouldn't give, but I've gotten tons and tons. All of the App Store stuff for Apple is handled. All the refunds and all of that stuff is handled by Apple. So you pretty much just have to file for a refund, and they'll give you a refund for almost anything.
Really? So you just say, I don't like it, give me my money back, and they will?
Pretty much.
How many times do you get to do that before they say, get out of here?
I've probably had 10 things over the last couple of years that I've given back. Yeah. So,
there's a nice
but
little
it's clearly a soft policy. Like, it's not something they have kind of clearly marked.
I didn't know you could do that. I think that somebody told me the reason that the Google changed this 24 to 15 is because people were buying games and beating them in less than 24 hours and then returning them. And I guess if you're an avid game player, that makes sense. I can't imagine doing that. That seems like that's nuts.
Yeah, if you've put that effort for, go ahead, get your refund.
Yeah, really, take your money back. But maybe it seems this is obviously a change in response to developers, and it's the kind of thing I don't like, because what it is it's saying to developers, all right, we're gonna respond to your interests over and above that of our users, and I hate
that's a big jump too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I can understand needing a few hours to kind of get a handle on something before you know if it's going to work or not.
15 minutes. That's nothing.
That's 15 minutes is not, you can test this and see if you like it. 15 minutes is, I accidentally bought this.
Right.
That's really the only scenario that covers.
Yeah.
And and boy, go ahead and try to get a refund from Google like you do from Apple. You know the Python support is not going to let you do that. I'll tell you that right now.
Topic.py doesn't compute.
Refund.py. Hey, let's take a break. When we come back, lots more to talk about, and I will play that onion bit. It's very funny, and it's got a little dig at the Yahoo at the end of it as well.
You have the internet back?
Well, yeah, I think Anonymous relented. I do want to mention our friends at General Electric, the creators of the GE Eco-Imagination Challenge. This was I don't want to say a contest, but I guess it was in a way a competition among inventors, innovators, people who, startup folks, to really reinvent how we use energy. Entrepreneurs, business innovators, and students competed for $200 million in investment capital from General Electric in 3 categories: renewable energy to encourage, things like wind, water, and the sun; grid efficiency. Everybody was talking about the smart grid in years past. Now they want to talk about the digital energy, and some very interesting ideas came out of the Eco-Imagination Challenge there. To improve transparency at every step of the grid, to reduce waste, to give more choices for consumers and energy providers. And then finally, green homes and buildings, because, of course, we've got to reduce consumption as well. If you go to ecoimagination.com/challenge right now, you can see the wieners, the people who are participating in this $200 million investment. Some really great ideas for changing the way we use energy, we create energy, we distribute energy. Really a great project.
Great ideas catch on. Great ideas catch on.
I invite you to visit ecoimagination.com/challenge to find out more. And by the way, watch our Green Tech Today show, because we've got a lot of these innovators on it. General Electric sponsoring the show, and we're very proud of it. It's twit.tv/GTT, or you can find it on iTunes or the Zune store, anywhere you can find podcasts. Green Tech Today. Thank you, General Electric, for making that possible and for sponsoring the Eco-Imagination Challenge. ecoimagination.com/challenge. So, Jeff, you tweeted something about Google and acquisitions. What was that all about?
Right. There was a Washington Post column that argued that it was wacky because it's from a business writer who just said, well, I don't have any problem with Google being, big and doing things on their own, but I really disagree with it. They should be able to grow through acquisition, and arguing that they should be regulated on antitrust basis for that, which makes no sense whatsoever. And this is the business section of the Washington Post.
It's just unfair on the face of it. Why should Google be hobbled artificially like that?
Name any company. Cisco. Every time there's a downturn, Cisco, probably has arguably nearly the monopoly of part of the communications business. I'm go a little far there, but I don't know what's Cisco's market share.
Oh, I don't know.
Of routers.
Probably 80%. I mean, it's huge, right?
Right, and Google is 63% or something like that in the U.S.
Right.
And so how does Cisco grow? Well, Chambers brags all the time by buying. So Google came back and responded to this as well. They should have. Very smart. Immediately, the same day, and wrote a blog post up on their own blog saying that this is ridiculous and we're not, antitrust, and we're just doing business the way you do business. But at the same time, the, pardon me, stupid French, not the whole country, just the government, goes attacking. This will get me tweets. Oh, this will get me tweets. The Google eating surrender monkeys of France wrote this, this ridiculous announcement trying to argue that Google's responsible for the death of news. It called links parasitic.
Oh, please.
Misunderstanding. But here's my favorite part. They complained that you can't pull out of Google News without pulling out of Google Search, which is just
true.
Patently wrong. Ask Mr. Murdoch. All you have to do is do a search. And they publicly attack Google without a friggin' fact.
It's like they didn't even, they could have Googled that.
Exactly. All you got to do, I said, okay, let me make sure. I went to Google News, no Times of London, go to Google Search Times of London, look on Assange, boom, tons of stuff.
L'autorité de la concurrence.
So Google becomes, the whipping boy. The phrase that I hear again and again and again, and this is what came out in the Washington Post piece, and I heard in an interview today for the BBC, is Google too big? And I keep saying, show me the definition of big. Right? And it's almost an anti-capitalistic view that, but they're just too big, right?
I don't think it's that. I think it's a real fear of the power, not the size, but the power that Google exerts.
Yeah, but Leo, okay, fine. So the issue in Europe is the idea that they can do two things. Number one, they can favor their own sites. Well, name me a media brand that doesn't. Right? Hey, go to the Today Show.
In fact, that was our next topic. Was this, and it's true. I'd see Google's defense is, well, we're just doing what our viewers want. They're not even saying, well, we're favoring our own sites. They're just saying this makes our search results better. Exactly right. And it's true. Places is free. Even if they did favor their own stuff, name me a company that doesn't.
Right. Google was the first media company that stopped doing that. Again, Today's Show, you're going to see, what do they promote? NBC shows.
Right.
Yahoo, what do they promote? Yahoo stuff. AOL, what do they promote? AOL stuff. That's the way the world operates. And Google pulled back from that. So that's the first thing they're complaining of. The second thing that complain against Google, we've discussed before, is that they do have power of God when it comes to deciding, and this is Matt Cutts, whether you're a spam site or a legit site. And I have argued that gets them in trouble, and they should have, my idea is they have a jury of peers to decide those things. But those are the two cases here. So the argument, yeah, you say that, Leo, about power, but I'm going to get smashed for this. Google's not all powerful. It's not that powerful. It's a perception that's the issue.
We're running out of time. We got to get out of here for Tech News Today. So I just want to go through a couple more stories. Milo Medin, the guy who started At Home, we're a very, very famous, prominent network engineer, one of the smartest guys in the business, if you ask me. Just named by Google to run their broadband initiative. He will be the person, I guess, who will announce which city or cities get the Google, gigabit broadband.
Oh boy!
Yeah, Milo's great. I will try to. Yeah. I will endeavor to get him on. I don't think nobody understands infrastructure better than
Milo. I gotta say this: when he was at Excite at Home, he was the guy who was trying to do paid peering deals.
Oh, interesting.
And so he was not Mr. Net Neutral in that age.
Interesting.
He was trying to go the exact opposite and charge more as the ISP to give you favored treatment through.
He lost that battle, by the way.
He lost it, and beware.
Yeah. I can't imagine him. That was the very early days. Things, maybe the shape of the net was not clear yet.
We should get him on and ask him.
Yeah, I'd love to. All right, let's get a little bit of this onion video, and then our tip and tool and pick of the week. This is from the Onion News Network.
The Google phone is slashing monthly fees thanks to an ad-supported service that whispers ads right into your ear. Jeff Tate has more.
Thanks, Glenn. At a shareholders meeting yesterday, Google announced steep price cuts made possible by a revolutionary new voice recognition software that can detect keywords in users' conversations and verbally suggest related products and services.
The best faked press conference I've ever seen. If this is not completely credible, I don't know how they did this.
So, Satra, where do you want to go for lunch?
Well, Jen, there are some great restaurants in my neighborhood.
Hungry, Sonny's Barbecue, the best place to grab comfort food, hundreds of locations nationwide.
That sounds good. Let's go there.
That sounds great.
Automated whispered advertising will allow us to offer the world's best smartphones nearly for free.
That's Steve Bilsner, Google spokesman, who is exactly right. He actually looks like Matt Cutts.
For a time, they didn't have a second voice whispering in their ear.
Tech publication reviews have indeed been enthusiastic.
Hello?
Hey, Mom.
Mother's Day gifts, plants, chocolate, sexy.
Yeah, I'm calling you from my Google phone. It's barely costing me a thing.
Google also will be further offsetting consumer costs with ad-based ringtones.
Oh, mark yourself. Down to Chase Bank. Mark yourself.
It's funny because it's
preloaded dozens of new applications into the phone, including a GPS system that gives directions to sponsor businesses.
There's a Dunkin' Donuts in 0.6 miles. Let's go. Come on, let's go to Dunkin' Donuts.
As well as state-of-the-art camera software with subtle advertising imagery. Critics are decrying the ad system as a possible safety concern, pointing to a recent 911 call placed by a beta tester of the Google phone service.
I don't know what happened. I just crashed my car. I skidded off the road.
Toyota Tacoma starting at under 16,000.
Sir, I'm sorry. I can't understand.
Hello, can you hear me?
Calm down.
My wife is here, but she's not moving.
Take her on the vacation of her dreams. Romantic getaways at dreamresorts.com.
Please repeat that. Sir, I need you to speak up.
Google has promised to resolve the issue in upgrades. In the meantime,
Google has promised to resolve the issue in upgrades. This is so
Google is testing out cost-cutting software that will make it possible for your phone to call members of your contact list and mimic your voice while advertising products. Here's a sneak preview of what my friends would hear.
Hello.
Hey, just wanted to say hi and tell you about job opportunities at Monster.com. Fresh job listings posted daily. Have jobs emailed to you. Sign up and find your
For Tech Trends, I'm the real Jeff Tate.
Yahoo has also announced plans to enter the smartphone market. The Y-Phone, which will license current Google phone software, is expected to be out in 3 to 4 years.
That's the best part. The Fisher-Price Y-Phone.
The Y phone.
Why?
Why?
Why? Oh, Onion News Network. I played the whole thing, so I'm probably really going to get screwed for that.
We're getting pulled.
Yeah, we're going to
get pulled on YouTube for that.
YouTube's going to yank us. Gina Trapani, your tip of the week.
Gmail launched delegation this week, I think just yesterday. This means that you can give another Gmail account, access to read and send email as you to your account. So like if you have a family account and you want your spouse to be able to check and send email from it, and or if you have an assistant who you want to help you, who you want to help you send, respond to email, you can do that. So the person who has access to read and write email can't change your password, can't change your settings, can just see your email and help you out with it. So this makes me really want to hire a virtual assistant now.
Delegation. By the way, I told the folks, I was talking to the Google Docs folks, how grateful you were that you could now use your regular Google Gmail account with Google Apps. They were.
Yes.
Call that the Gina Trapani feature.
That has been really nice. Yeah. Google Apps is getting parity now. It's great.
Hey. Jeff Jarvis, your number of the week, sir.
Number of the week is number 1. Apropos to this being Mark Zuckerberg Day, a holiday soon to be celebrated annually, is that Facebook is the number 1 place to work. And in this same survey of places to work, Google fell from 14th to 30th.
Ooh.
Apple rose 2 notches to 20th. Zuckerberg himself gets a 95% approval rating, which I think is by employees, which is really
from his employees. Wow, that's really
but what got me was Steve Jobs got a 97% approval rating, and I thought he was the SOB boss of all time, wasn't he?
Well, you don't want to cross him.
Leader. Yeah,
as folks at Gizmodo well know. Do you ever get invited to any Apple events anymore, Joel?
Yeah, we are not invited to Apple events anymore, which is fine. Actually, it hasn't really affected our ability to do Apple coverage at all. But I actually kind of miss the one thing I do miss is some of the Apple PR people that handle like the apps or Final Cut and things like that. I really like them, and now I can't talk to them because
they won't even talk to you.
Well, not in official capacity.
Really?
Yeah, they don't even they don't answer emails. If we send an email to an apple.com address, it never comes back.
Wow. Yeah. I thought I was out.
Are you sure? Wait. Are we sure that it wasn't Apple that hacked you?
It could be.
Some have said
Apple went after Gawker.
Gnosis. Could be Apple.
They made the most elegant
Gnosis backwards on a Tuesday with 3 letters. Apple. It spells Apple.
My tool of the week is a keyboard replacement. Now, we've talked about Swipe before, which I still love, but I tried this Swift key. Now, if you get Gingerbread, much of the functionality from SwiftKey is in Gingerbread. But if you don't have Gingerbread yet, I really do like SwiftKey. It is back to tapping. It's not swiping. It's not drawing, but it does really excellent prediction. So much so that if you type something a lot, it will remember your phrases, and you can actually type an entire phrase just by hitting space, 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 and letting it just fill in your text. SwiftKey, it's not free, but I think you can try it for free for a month. on your Android phone. And I have to say that I suspect Google was influenced by it because many of those features are now in the gingerbread keyboard.
SwiftKey is great. It's got a lot of fans.
Isn't it? Really did you still use Swipe?
I'm using Slide It right now.
Slide It.
Yeah, which is a swipe. It's the same idea. Same. Yeah, but I really went back and forth between SwiftKey and Slide
I can't decide, you know.
It's tough. It's tough to decide.
What's great is we have the choice.
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't use Swipe with my Galaxy Tab. I don't think.
Right,
it comes with
sense,
Swipe,
right? Because it's a big.
Yeah, but I don't think it works for. I don't see how I would use it.
You can't use it if you want to thumb type now.
Thumb it, right?
Yeah.
But it does come with it, right? I mean, I think it, as I remember,
yeah, it is a choice. Yes, it's a choice. How was the food and entertainment at the Google do?
Oh, the food was fantastic. The entertainment was great. I was impressed at the number of people, big names that they were able to get out to that event, because I'm sure that's the last thing anybody wants to do on a Monday night is stick around and meet media folk. But they got everybody was there, and it was really fun, and I really had a great time and got some real insights into what they're doing. And I think we're going to get a number of people in to do. I want to have a kind of like a Googler come on and do a 5-minute tip on every show, where they just say, you know, hey, here's the 3 things you might not have known about Google News, that kind of thing.
Yeah, they've been trying to get that going.
Yeah, I think we're going to get it going. It was a lot of fun, and I came away with this phone. I don't know, it's very nice. They want it back though.
Loaner.
It's a loaner, but I'm going to buy one now that I've tried it. It's fantastic. All right, hey, thank you everybody. Joel Johnson, thank you so much for joining us. Joel is at Gizmodo.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Really nice to see you again.
Can I slide in a quick plug?
Yeah.
Next week, we haven't told anybody this yet, so you guys are the first to know. But on Tuesday, I'm heading to Afghanistan to be embedded with some Marines for a few weeks, or like a couple weeks.
Wow.
So yeah, we'll be updating basically Gizmodo from Afghanistan, which will be interesting.
Is there a gadget angle?
Wow. I'm going to be reviewing a lot of gear that I use personally, but the story is actually more about some photojournalists that are out there doing a really cool tech project at basetrack.org. But yeah, there's a lot of different parts of it. It's a big story.
I did see a story that I can't remember if it was all of the military, just the Army was going to suggesting iPhones or Android phones for its troops.
Yeah, they haven't locked that down yet, but they're heading that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds
awesome,
like fun.
Joel.
We'll watch for that. At Gizmodo.com, or is there a special site for that?
No, it'll be Gizmodo.
Yeah, please be careful.
Godspeed, man. Godspeed.
Are you nervous?
Good guys. I was nervous, and I'm kind of over it now. It's like, what do you do? Like, and it's not like I'm going to be putting myself in harm's way. So
harm finds its way to you sometimes in places like that. Well, good luck.
All right, thanks.
Well, that sounds amazing. Yeah, Gina Trapani is at smarterware.org and
ThinkUpApp.com.
Great.
Come code with me. Yay, open source.
Woo. Jeff Jarvis is at the University of New York, but also the author of a great book called What Would Google Do? I have it right here. Whenever I want to know what Google would do, I just whip it out. He's also working on a
Karnak. You put it up against your head. It's like Karnak.
What would Google do? WWGD. And you can...
that was a reference that meant absolutely nothing to the other two people.
It's just us, though.
That's Carson. That's Carson.
Ba. Very good.
Joel, thank you.
Very good. That's amazing for a young person.
Oh, thanks.
Jeff also blogs at buzzmachine.com. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We do this show every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, live.twit.tv, but you can also download the audio or the video from iTunes or our site. We'll be back next week. The week after, we're going to have a best of some great moments, including you, Joel.
Oh.
Man boobs.
Oh, yes, I've heard. Yeah.
Yes, you're part of the best of.
We live in infamy.
We're still accepting suggestions at twit.tv/best of if you've got some. Coming up this afternoon, Michael Geist in our Triangulation episode. Tom Merritt and I will interview the Canadian law professor who is the Larry Lessig of Canada. He's the guy who discovered and revealed the ACTA provisions. He's really a fighter.
Ask me, there's a huge case going on right now, just heard in the Supreme Court. I filed in front of the court brief, basically trying to say, to really hurt links. And he'll know about it, I'm sure.
I will ask him about it. That's good. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah. That's coming up 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on live.twit.tv later today. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google.